Hello, YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, we are going over episode 5 of the MAYFAIR Witches, and I'm just gonna put it out here to start with that I feel like it's kind of a waste of an episode. So that being said, let's talk about what actually happens in this episode. So like most of the other episodes, we again start off back in Donley, Scotland. And Suzanne, she's a midwife, she's helping to deliver a baby, and then we get aggro dad. Like, he's just angry dad, and like his son is born, and he's like, yay, it's a son, and then he sees him and he has like little webbed fingers. And that just happens sometimes. So mind you, in like 1600 Scotland, that was the devil's work. So like, he gets real aggro about this, real upset, and he starts getting these funny ideas about Suzanne and the tinctures she's making. Maybe she's like a witch and she's in league with the devil because it's her fault somehow that his son has like webbed fingers. I don't know. It's all a whole big perfect storm brewing in Scotland because the next day, guess who shows up in town? The witch hunter supreme with the fancy dandy wig. Like, this is a borderline drag wig. I mean, it's thirsty. It's not a great wig, but like, wow. But anyway, fancy wig man, he starts like preaching about women are witches and like blah, blah, blah. I'm here to save you from witches. And historically, midwives were always the first to go in a witch hunt. We all know the witch hunts were really just a form of trying to keep women subdued, but yikes. So we all know where that's going, basically. But enough about Suzanne. Let's go back to the present. And mind you, this is starting right after the end of the last episode where Rowan and Cyprian were trapped in a burning house. And we start the episode and they're all like cozy in bed with each other, like post-bang bliss they're kind of in. So what? When is this? What is happening? When is this? Who? Why? How? Like, there's a lot of questions. And Cyprian, of course, knight in shining armor that he is, he's like, I'll go make breakfast. And I'm like, yeah, you will, Cyprian. Go make breakfast. Like, I'm obsessed with him. So anyway, he gets up to go make breakfast. And then they kind of pan down and you see he still has that big knife wound in his side. So apparently this is a big fever dream because he is still injured, but I guess they are lost in Fantasyland. And then the scene just keeps repeating itself multiple times. They're kind of like in a loop here. They wake up, post-bang bliss, they're happy, they're having pillow talk, they're very cuddly, and it's all very romantic. And, you know, Cyprian gets up to make breakfast, he has a wound, lather, rinse, repeat. Essentially, it's the same thing over and over here. The only main difference is that Cyprian seems to be getting weaker each time he goes through the loop. Like, the second time he's kind of stumbling a bit. By the last time he can barely walk. And it's progressing to a point where like they're gonna have to address the stab wound in the room. But once Rowan finally sees Cyprian's stab wound, like she just goes into doctor mode and it kind of snaps her out of her sex fog she's been in. And she's like, oh, where, what, how? She's asking all of the questions finally. But Rowan's mind is now working again. She's like, okay, shit, we need to get you to a hospital. You're obviously stabbed. And it looks like it's a little old. Like, this is beginning stage sepsis. Like, they've been in this loop for at least a couple days at this point. So she's like, okay, shit, get dressed. We're going to the hospital. Like, yes, good idea. So she goes and grabs her clothes, and underneath her clothes is a big giant kitchen knife. And she's like, oh no, did I stab Cyprian and not remember it? This is a problem. But Cyprian's like, no, we don't have to assume things. Let me take off my glove and I'll figure this out. So he touches the knife and he's just like, oh shit, Carlotta tried to kill you. And the house is burning. Like, fuck. So they finally, the sex fog is broken. They figure out very quickly after that they are trapped in the house. Lasher has cast some type of sex fog spell upon them in this house. And they've been there for several days with, you know, Cyprian having a stab wound and ignoring it because Lasher ultimately wants Cyprian out of the picture. He wants him to die so he'll have Rowan all to himself. So now they need to try to escape, and they're going to all the doors and all the windows, but they're locked. And the windows are unbreakable. They can't get out. Cyprian, he's trying some spells to try to break Lasher's hold on the house, but he's pretty weak, so they're not really going anywhere. Rowan is trying every window and door she can find in this house to try to figure out if one of them's immune to this spell. She's back up in the bedroom trying those windows, and what'd you know? Lasher just shapeshifts right back into Cyprian, and he's all smiling, holding breakfast, and he's just gaslighting Rowan into thinking she hit her head and isn't trapped in the house. Come back into the sex fog. You hit your head, don't worry, here's breakfast, you know? Just kind of looping her back in. However, Rowan's not fully in the sex fog because she starts getting wise to this isn't really Cyprian when she notices Cyprian isn't wearing his gloves while he's touching all of the breakfast stuff. Cyprian would not do that. Cyprian would be overwhelmed with memories if he started just touching a bunch of random stuff without gloves on. So Rowan, she leaves. She goes back downstairs to go check on Cyprian. But whilst Rowan was back in the sex fog for a minute, Cyprian, he starts seeing ghosts that are also trapped in the Mayfair house. And he even sees one Stuart Townsend from the Talamasca, and he was looking for Antha Mayfair. He's kind of in his own loop, repeating his own history, looking for Antha. But Cyprian can kind of talk to the ghost, and he warns him not to die in this house because Lasher doesn't like other men who fall in love with Mayfair witches. Like, it's gonna be bad. Whatever you do, don't die in here. And just kind of fades away. So I'll give you a book note on this because there were several Talamasca agents that got sent in, and Stuart was one of those Talamasca agents. He was sent in to make contact with Stella, not Antha. Antha is Stella's daughter. And he did. He talked to Stella, and Stella was actually going to run away with him back to London. She was very scared of something, and she's like, please take me back to the Talamasca. I'll do anything. And unfortunately, Stella never gets to go back to London because, well, two reasons. One, Carlotta poisons Stuart and then locks him in the attic to die. So there's that. And also, Stella is murdered the same night. So yeah, no one gets to go to London. But anyways, back to the episode. So Rowan, she finds Cyprian. She's like, okay, we're trapped. We can't get out of here. I'm going to stop trying the windows. It's obviously not working. I'm just gonna have to treat you myself. I'm a doctor. Like, let's get some doctor shit going on here. So Rowan goes off. She's looking for like whatever supplies she can find to do, you know, like field surgery, I guess, on Cyprian to try to like heal him. And then there's like a whole like The Shining type of moment for a minute because she hears water in the bathtub and she like pulls the curtain away and it's Millie, who we've seen a few times before. Like in the show, she's Carlotta's sister, but in the book, they're cousins. Whatever, close enough. I mean, they might be sisters. This family's very inbred. Now that I think of it, cousin, sister, it might be the same. Millie is just fading in and out of existence and like saying she can't hold on without Carlotta. It feels like she's dying again. And I was like, what? Was Millie a ghost this whole time? But never mind that. We just don't pay attention to any of the ghostiness of that section. Rowan's just like, okay, you know what? I'm not dealing with that bucket of worms right now. She just leaves. She's like, okay, I got my supplies. She goes back downstairs to Cyprian and she's like, all right, let's get going. And Cyprian's like, wait a minute, like maybe use your powers first. See what's actually going on here because I don't want you cutting into me and thinking it's one thing when it's not because, you know, we're under a sex fog. So she does successfully. Rowan was able to use her powers to view the wound and what's actually going on in Cyprian's body without killing him. So go Rowan! Like, progress on her ability to control her powers. However, what she finds out is that this wound is much worse than she thought, and she's not going to be able to fix this on her own. There's nothing she can do. He's gonna die if he doesn't get medical attention. Like, this is a problem. And since they're trapped in the house, the only way that she could get him out of the house is to bargain with Lasher. So she basically tells Lasher to let Cyprian go, and then she'll stay and play this game with him. That's all she wants, and she'll stay of her own free will. Lasher accepts this proposal because, like, Cyprian just gets yeeted out the wall. Just, like, he's gone. He just goes through the wall. He's somewhere else. I don't know why Lasher is able to teleport bodies to new locations in this. That seems like a very strange use of his abilities because, like, he's barely corporeal. What do you mean he yeeted a guy out the window? This makes no sense to the lore they've already built in the show. So I'm very confused by this, so whatever. I have to suspend disbelief at some point, so I'm just gonna go with it. So now Rowan's alone in the house and she has to, you know, go forward. The only way out is through. So she goes back upstairs and she sees on the bed like a whole, like, fancy dress laid out. So apparently Lasher wants to play dress up. So she gets all dressed up. She comes back downstairs and Lasher is waiting for her and like he's all dressed up too, like in his best ghost tux. And she's like, "Where's Cyprian?" He's like, "I sent him home. You wanted him to go home. He's at home." And she's like, "Fine." And now like the Lasher seduction part 2 begins. Like they dance and he tells her that she can have all of her heart's desires because everything happening right now is what she really wants. Like, she wants cake on some level. What cake appears? Like, have some cake, girl. And they go outside and they see all the little fireflies and they have this like romantic kiss. Like Lasher is very overwhelming when he turns on his like Lasher ghost demon charm. And when he wants to be seductive, I think he's appropriately seductive. But I think the point they're making with like how Lasher's seduction feels in the show is like basically succumbing to your own worst interests or own worst qualities, and how he brings it out and how those could just be delicious to succumb to, but ultimately it's not what's feeding your soul. I'm trying to throw some like layers into the storytelling they're giving us because I feel like it needs some depth. So I think that's what they're going for with it, and it's an interesting concept. And like Jack Houston is just kind of like a smoke show, really. So like when he's like turning it on, I'm like, okay, like maybe Lasher could get it. Like, I don't know. Like he's doing a good job of the seduction element. However, in this, you know, sex fog part 2 that he's put her in, Lasher is purposefully twisting the truth a bit because Lasher's creating all this. He's in control of the sex fog illusion. He's inside of her head and pulling images out of it to like lure and like seduce Rowan into this state of depending on him and therefore being more willing to give Lasher what he ultimately wants. And true to reality, not everything can always be cake and firefly kisses because they come back in and there's Carlotta just floating in the air in the living room. Rowan's like, "Lasher, cut it out." And Lasher's like, "No, you cut it out, Rowan." It's very much like playground taunts. I don't know the way they communicate now. Rowan kind of starts putting her foot down here. She's like, "No, Lasher, I'm not gonna kill Carlotta because that's what you want me to do. And it's a dick move that you thought I would." So she goes off to have a temper tantrum and like try to figure out a way out of the house. Like the illusion is broken. Damn, Lasher, you overstepped your seduction just a little bit. So Rowan, she goes back upstairs. She's looking around and she runs into Millie again. And she asks her for help. She's like, "Hey, apparently Carlotta had done something to get Lasher's control of the house away from him. What do I do? How did Carlotta do it? Please help me." Mind you, Millie's a ghost, so there isn't a ton of help she can give, but she does lead Rowan to like this like armoire and there's a bunch of stuff in it, including Carlotta's secret spell book. So apparently like Carlotta, as much as she's like super Catholic and hates witches, she was like practicing in secret for all these years, I guess. However, in this spell book, she does have a very particular spell to exorcise the house, get rid of unclean spirits. So Rowan goes back downstairs, she goes in the basement, and she finds Carlotta's like secret witch lair where she has all these like herbs and like materials that you need for witchcraft growing. She starts pulling all of like the ingredients she needs for the ritual. I don't know how she's doing this because it calls for very particular plants. Does Rowan just know what all these plants look like, or is she just grabbing things at random? I don't know why she would be like a botanist all of a sudden, but here we are. There's not a lot that makes sense in this episode, and I can't write it all off to the sex fog that she's in, okay? It can't all be that. I feel like it's just like lazy writing, but Anyway, she's in the basement getting plants. However, Lasher doesn't like this. He's like, no, this isn't going to work. I'm not gonna, like, let you do this. By the way, like, really? You think you're gonna get rid of me with, like, plants? Like, hello, do you think this is going to work? But whatever, I'll just lock you in the basement. So the door locks. Now she's trapped inside of the house, inside of the basement in the house. So she's double trapped. And it's also right around now, while Rowan's walking around, that she finds Delphine's body just in the basement still. I don't know why she didn't notice the body immediately when she walked in. It's been decomposing for a bit. There's obviously a smell involved, and she just didn't notice it until now. And then, so yeah, that's quite the reveal for someone in this situation. And like, apparently Carlotta just didn't clean up her messes. She just left the body in there. But Rowan, she needs to get out of this basement stat because, like, many reasons. One, dead body. Two, she's trapped. So she's like, okay, I've got to break the spell here. And since I'm the owner of this house, I should be able to tell the house what to do. So she tells the house that what she wants is to get out of the basement, and like, she means it. And when you know, door unlocked. So now Rowan, she's got a little ace in her sleeve. And this trick tends to work for lots of things, but not all things. Like, example, Rowan wants Carlotta released from floating, in the living room. Carlotta falls to the ground, so she's released. However, she's still not able to physically leave the house yet. That she just can't get out yet. So I don't know. Certain things are working, certain things aren't. So Carlotta has been released, and Rowan's still trapped in the house, but Carlotta's like, Rowan, I know a way out. Follow me. So she leads her back upstairs, and they get to the third-story balcony. The infamous third-story balcony of the MAYFAIR house. This is where Antha fell and died. I mean, in the book, Carlotta pushed her to her death out there, but it's a very notorious spot of the house. And Carlotta's doing like her whole best, like Mrs. Danvers from Rebecca fantasy right now, where she's like, you should jump. You should just jump. You should kill yourself because, like, you're gonna be really miserable in this life, so you should just die. Like, you should do it. And Rowan is like, no, Carlotta. I'm not gonna jump off the balcony and kill myself, and I'm not gonna let you kill me like you did Antha. So no, not gonna happen. And Rowan starts using her powers in self-defense, frankly, against Carlotta. And Carlotta starts like having a heart attack and then falls off the balcony. Kind of poetic, and like, she's gotten what she deserves. Now, you might be thinking, hey, what's been happening with Cyprian? He just got yeeted out the window. We haven't saw him again. I will tell you, the episode did cut back and forth a little bit, but again, I'm clarifying things in my review so it makes more sense and it's easier to digest. So let's go back and tell what has been happening to Cyprian up until this point. He does actually get like transported back to his apartment. He's just like laying on the living room floor bleeding. And his sister comes out and is like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, oh my God. Now, I didn't mention it before, but his sister was introduced like a couple episodes ago. And I didn't bring it up because frankly, she had one scene and it went nowhere and she added nothing to the plot. So I didn't think she was going to be a very important character. Like Loki, I still kind of don't think she's a very important character. The only thing that we really know about her is that she's pregnant as a surrogate. So Cyprian's sister, her name's Odette. She's trying to like figure out what the fuck, and the door starts unlocking and Cyprian's like, you need to hide because like I already called for help from my job and they can't know you're here. It's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna get in trouble and things are about to go bananas. So like, whatever you hear, no matter how crazy it is, you do not come out, period. Like, it's gonna be a problem. And she's like, fuck. So she leaves. She doesn't want to. It's her brother bleeding, but she has to. So she goes and runs and hides. So the Talamasca shows up and, they bring like this witch healer woman and she examines Cyprian, and then they start doing like some witchy healing rituals, and they do manage to heal Cyprian through very magical means. So that's great. I will not have it if they hurt Cyprian permanently. Like, I would riot. Like, he's the best part of the show. But, you know, after he's healed, he does have some serious explaining to do with his sister. So I guess he just kind of tells her the basics about what the Talamasca is and how this is a top priority secret. Like, if you tell people, they will kill you. You need to shut the fuck up about it. So she's like, fine, okay. Oh, I won't ever tell anybody. Now that Cyprian's all patched up, he has like informed his sister. He's like, all right, time to get back up on my white horse and like ride to the rescue, because he's a knight in shining armor. So he's about to go back for Rowan, much to his sister's chagrin. She's like, why? What? You just got stabbed. Like, maybe you need some space. But nope. He leaves. He's gonna go rescue Rowan. Now we're here at the end of the episode. We're back in the MAYFAIR house. Rowan has just killed Carlotta, and since she has ultimately done what Lasher wanted her to do in this whole exercise he has been putting her in, guess what? She's able to leave the house now. So it's also telling more about the nature of Lasher as a entity, that as much as like the MAYFAIRs control Lasher, but really he can manipulate so many different things to get the MAYFAIRs to do what he wants. No one's controlling Lasher. That's the scary bit of this, okay? He's just there to manipulate and use them. However, through like the camera imagery they're using here, they're obviously giving like a visual perspective that now her whole world is physically upside down. And, you know, she's gone down the rabbit hole. What's gonna happen next? Everything is flipped. And honestly, the way Rowan leaves the house, it feels like a lot like the final girl of a slasher movie, where like all of this crazy murder has happened and then finally she's the last one standing. So like I was saying, I feel like this is almost a waste of an episode because we really didn't further the plot all that much. We just got like more about Lasher being manipulative, which we have already seen before, so I don't know why we needed this. And like the sex fog that they were in felt forced, and I don't know. And like all of the magic system they created wasn't consistent. And I don't know if that's on purpose, because you can only write off so much of like, I don't know, it's magic, it works how it wants. But like, no, like magic has a system to it. And if you've made a rule that works, you can't just have it not work like the next scene. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I feel like this whole episode was just really sloppy. Like, if I was reading a fantasy book and it had this magic system that made no consistent sense, like, I would be reading it for filth. So I feel like I should be doing the episode the same justice here. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess of an episode, and I don't think it went anywhere to further the plot. However, it does successfully establish kind of a sense of dread and a turning point for the characters. So there's that. I'm grasping at straws here, trying to find some meaning. So this was like a misstep, if in my own opinion, but whatever. We still have 3 episodes to go, so hopefully something is gonna happen with the actual plot going on here, because right now we're just kind of in vibes. We're just having vibes, but nothing's furthering the story. So I want something to happen, basically. Hopefully we got 3 episodes in which something needs to happen in. Fingers crossed. Let me know in the comments down below. What did you think about this episode? Did you like it? If so, please, I'm very happy for you if you did. Do you have any predictions about where the season is going? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you're interested in cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.